G'day guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Pierre and this is Simple Homebrew. These are plastic PET bottles. They're food safe bottles made for pretty much home brewing. I had a request from you guys to show you how I transfer my beers into these bottles. So if you're interested, stick around. You might learn something. Maybe not. So what I've got is a finished brew. I've got a Morgan's Australian Gold. Beautiful looking beer, nice and clear. I'll show you soon. I want to actually put it into a keg, but I'm going to have excess beer left over, so I want to put that into my PET bottles. Now I've got sanitizer in these guys at the moment. Always smart idea to make sure they're clean. Even when you buy them new, make sure they're clean and then sanitized throughout. Leave your sanitizer in there for more than 30 seconds. That's more than enough to sanitize them after cleaning. So we're transferring beer into a bottle today using a wand and some pressure. These bottles were used and I'm reusing them. So I had to clean them and sanitize them again. Leave the sanitizer in for about 30 seconds or more. That'll kill any kind of bacteria. With that, I will now empty them out into my sanitizer here. This is a sanitizer. So there are a couple of methods to transferring beer into your bottles. The one method is using an auto siphon. An auto siphon, I'll pop a picture up here for you, is for it's for fermenters that you can't pressurize. And there's also a pressurized method where you can actually put CO2 in your pressure fermenter, which is what I've got, and put a small amount of pressure in so the beer will push into your bottles. That's what I'm going to use. Now, I've just got to also tell you that being that my beers are pressure fermented, they will have carbonation already, which I pressure fermented about 15 psi. So the carbonation will be probably spot on, hopefully spot on. I'll test it anyway. So I won't need to use anything else to carbonate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this beer into my bottles, these ones. Hopefully I can get you to see what I'm doing. I'll pop this camera down low and I'll have this one as my view. So pop this down low so you can see where I'm going. This is my wand. Now this wand, how this works, as you can tell, it's under pressure. How it works is there's a little needle you press in and beer comes out when you press it, just like that. And what I'm doing is I'm going to pop that in. Now there's oxygen in here, so you've got to be really careful transferring. Because this is already under pressure, it's probably going to get a little messy because it's got foaming, so it will foam up a little. So I'm showing you here now just to let you know what I'm doing. I'm going to need a container, which is the one I just put over here. Pop that back over here. So you can see the bubbles happening. So that's just transferring. It's probably going through a bit bubbly. The pressure's probably a little bit too high still, but that's fine. This is sanitizer coming out now, and it's also pushing the oxygen out. So once the oxygen is pushed out and the bubbles have stopped coming out, I will put a cap on it, a lid. So at the moment, it's transferring foam rather than beer, mainly because it's probably a bit too overcarbonated. I need to take some more pressure out. So there we go. I'll show you, hopefully you guys can see what's going on there. But that's our beer transferring. Now it's stopped. The reason why it stopped is because I just pressed, I just let all the carbonation out of the pressure fermenter. So it's not going to transfer until it pressurizes again. So far, I've transferred 3/4 of a bottle. I'm going to have to put some carbonation in there now. I'm going to have to put CO2 in my fermenter, which I'm only needing about 2 pounds of pressure at most. Lengthen this hose a bit better. Okay, that's enough pressure of CO2 to get this to work out. So, geez, nearly dropped it. So now there should be enough pressure in that to transfer again, just like that. Here it comes. So I'll get it right to the top. So this is blowing out all the CO2. So that's pretty full. I've got my sanitized lid. I'll pop that on. So now that is a bottle of carbonated beer, ready to drink if you want to. I haven't actually tried that yet. So I've got another bottle to do, just to show you how I'll go about it again. Again, this is a sanitized bottle. I just took the lid off and popped it on the counter. Actually, I might leave it in there. Well, I'm going to now transfer more beer into this bottle, and go through the same process. Now it is, look, this process tells me how much carbonation I have in my beer, and it's never going to change because it's already finished fermenting. But the other process is to put carbonation drops in. And if you put the carbonation drops in, you have to have a flat beer that's completely finished fermenting, because it will certainly pressurize your bottles full on. Now, I am doing this wrong, and I don't normally bottle. So this is the best method I know on how to bottle beer properly with a low risk of anything happening to it. So hopefully this helps you guys. This is how I do it, and it works quite well for me. I'm going to take a sample of this beer later just to try it out. But that's it. So there are my bottle of beers. At the moment, there might be a small amount of oxygen in here, just so minimal though that it's not going to be an issue. And that's our beer bottled, nice and cold. And that's 2 bottles of beer ready to go. 2 bottles of beer on the wall. Yeah. So that's my current method that works well for me. I don't have to worry about putting carbonation drops in. I am adding a video to this that I did about a year ago. You probably haven't seen it yet, on how I used to do it. So this may be a bit more of an insight for you. Hi guys, this is Pierre. How you going? Today I'm about to bottle my Dutch lager / ale. An extract I bought from a local brew shop. The brew shop was selling it cheap, and I saw it on the bench and I thought, I'll grab that. It's not out of date yet, it's going out of date, so I thought I'd grab it and brew it up. So I brewed my brew, chucked the yeast in, or pitched my yeast, as you would say it, and then left it. So after about 3 days, the yeast didn't activate, it didn't do anything. It just sat there in the bottom of the fermenter and did nothing. So luckily I've got a Fermentasaurus with a little catch bowl on the bottom, so the catch bowl caught most of the old yeast, which is great because I just unscrewed it, chucked it away, and re-pitched yeast again, which is an ale yeast, which wasn't supposed to go into this lager that I was doing. So I put the ale yeast in, which worked. It fermented, and now it's finished. Now for the result. So basically, I'm going to bottle it, but before I bottle it, I'm going to taste it to make sure it isn't off. It has no bacteria growing on the surface. It smells a bit funky, so I'm a bit worried about that, and I'll let you know. Also, while it was fermenting, I had a few dramas. Basically, the yeast didn't take, so I had to put a new ale yeast in, which kind of changes the flavour of the whole brew, and it changes the time for it to brew as well, so it's basically ready. The other one is I had a grandson who comes over and visits us every now and again. You know, he's a good little boy. while I was at work, he must have went into my room, grabbed my airlock, pulled it out, went for walkies and showed people, and put it back upside down. I didn't know about it for a day or so. Went back, saw it upside down and went, what is going on? I'm hoping that the exposure isn't bad enough for it to be a problem. It was still fermenting at the time, so hopefully it was just pushing the air out rather than letting any bad air in. We'll find out soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all my bottles of Mangrove Jack's cleaning detergent. So it's cold water stuff. It's just an OxiClean basically. Put 5 litres in the sink, chuck this in, use a little scoop for my two tablespoons for every 5 litres. So pour it in there, and then I'll give all my bottles a clean, and then I'll sanitize them, and then I'll be ready for bottling. So guys, you've seen this before. I'll get my my bottles, give them a good clean in OxiClean, which is just in the sink here. Give it a scrub out with the bottle brush that I keep, and then I'll give it a rinse in sanitizer. Put the lids back on, which are in the sink here as well, so I'm giving them a good clean in OxiClean as well. And once I sanitize them, I'll put the lids back on so they stay sanitized internally until I'm ready to actually put my brew into it. Sorry, I just saw something in there, just made me laugh. I have in the bottom of the fermenter a whole bunch of trub, which is, you know, your yeast and a couple of sediments and things like that. I've got to go through that a little bit. I've got to empty it out a little bit, so I might lose about a litre, maybe a litre and a half of fluids basically, or beer, before I get to bottle them. So I've given myself around about 27, 28 bottles, which I reckon would be pretty close. If I have any left over, it doesn't matter. 28 bottles is enough for me anyway, so I'll work that out. Alright guys, I'm getting close to the end of cleaning all my bottles out. Some of these had some dregs at the bottom of them, so I had to brush them out a little bit, nice and clean. So you've got to do that. You've got to make sure that they're spotless. I mean, if you leave dregs in there, as long as you get the chunky bits out, it really doesn't hurt them. Basically, you can put your sanitizer on, and the sanitizer will will sanitize the bottles and make them you know, safe to drink out of and work with. As long as you sanitize them, as long as there's no chunks in it, you're pretty safe. So yeah, it won't be long. So what I'm going to do now is basically the lids are all on my bottles. They're all ready to go to be bottled. There's 28 bottles all clean and sanitized. This is sanitizer solution now. I'm going to just place my little, we'll try this out. In the Fermentasaurus, they have these little things, which is just something to let the trub get out, or basically whatever you want to get out, really. Right, that's up there, ready to go. So as you can see, I've got this Fermentasaurus sitting up here. I've got this little fella here, which reminds me, I'll just get this, I actually put some sanitizer in this little bottle here so I can actually clean up under here. It's been out in the open air for a little while. Just make sure the rubber seals get a little bit of contact. Yep, looks good. Just give it a bit more quick squirt. There we go. So I'll whack this beauty up here, which will be you have to twist it at the same time because I should have basically contacted that, but anyway, what do you do? As long as it gets a good contact, it shouldn't leak like that, and we're right. So what happens now is, I'll give that a squirt because it was on the ground, because I want to basically put the excess trub here into here until it starts running clear. And that's where I'm going to lose a bit of fluid. This is a 1 litre cup, so I'll have to plan this so I don't get too much mess. So the plan is I'm going to chuck it in this little pot here. Basically just do it until it runs clear and we should be right. So here we go. So just wait for a sec, I'll move the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing and we'll be right. So guys, you can see that we've got our valve. I'll take the little airlock off at the top. You can't see me do that, but I've taken that airlock off, which probably didn't do much anyway in the fermenting time. So now I'm going to crack the valve which should not leak. I'm hoping it doesn't. That's correct. So at the moment there's nothing coming out. That's a worry because I'm worried that this is going to be clogging it up. We'll soon find out when I crack this. See if it comes out. Here we go. Chunkies are coming out. Hopefully it'll push it through the tube. Well, that's a bit of a worry. This may not work. If I pressurized it, it would work. I need a pressure cap though, which I don't have. So it's a worry. I think I'm going to have to go with it for the wand. I'm sorry, but I can't get it out. We'll close that valve off. Unscrew this little beauty. Probably make a little bit of a mess. Okay guys, just as you saw a few minutes ago, the spout at the bottom clogged up with tube. Couldn't do it, it was just clogging up, I couldn't do it. So basically going the old way, just using the siphon. I'm going to siphon it into the bottles and go from there. Now I've had a problem and I'm finding solutions for it. Right now, as you can see, I've taped my siphon onto the Fermentasaurus. I don't know if it's going to work, but it looks like it's going to work. It's pretty solid. It's not going to hit the bottom now and bloody give me no siphoning ability. So now I should be able to fill my bottles properly. All right. Now I'll be able to do this one-handed. Get the siphon going, just like that. We now have full siphon. Now I can do my bottle. See, nice and clear. Why didn't that happen? This is probably going to be okay. I'll use it anyway. And off we go, filling up our hoses. So each bottle will fill up to near the top, and I'll just stop it just before it reaches there. Pop that in there and I'll get a lid, and in the meantime I'll actually squeeze the air out of the bottle till it gets to the top of the bottle and then put the lid on. That way no oxygen is in there. So with my bottles, at the bottom there's a little like little ledges that you want to go into. So in there you'll see where I put the actual brew in. So when I put it in, I'll actually put it in that corner so I don't get a lot of air going in, and it will just fill up nice and neatly in that aspect and be pretty good. So I shouldn't shake it out, but anyway, let's fill them. Dutch lager, hey? Pretty hardy stuff. Awesome. Alright guys, to summarise the day, I thought I'd grab a beer from my keg. It's one I did, it's an all grain one that I did probably 2 months ago. It's still coming out beautiful, nice and clear, nice flavour, good bubbles, good, what do you call it, carbonation. It's a nice beer, cheers. Very nice. What I'm doing to summarise today is basically let you know that I did a bottling of a Dutch lager, which turned out to be a Dutch ale, basically because the Dutch lager yeast, or the yeast that they supplied, was dead. And I didn't test it, so what do you do? So I repitched it with ale yeast, which seemed to work really well. It fermented, it finished fermenting, and it's ready to go. I did have some dramas during the fermentation period, and also some of the smells coming out of it was a bit worrying. So I've now bottled them. So we're gonna wait a couple of weeks. You'll see in this video the taste test after a couple of weeks, so hang around and I'll let you know what it tastes like. Thanks for watching.